This week on the ASP, I sit down with voiceover artist Mela Lee. Join us as we chat about Miraculous Ladybug, Fate Stay Night, Lindbeck and Lee, and Magnolia Memoirs. Enjoy! Alright guys, welcome to a very special episode of the Animation Station podcast. We have a very special guest with us, the incredibly talented Miss Mela Lee. How are you doing, Mela?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. Now, do you want to tell our audience just a little bit about yourself? Like, what do you do for a living?
I'm a professional voice actress and composer and songwriter. I do anime, interactive games, voices for film and television in ADR. I do voice matching and voice replacement. And I'm just probably the luckiest person in the world. I love what I do.
Excellent. Now, how did you get into acting?
Well, I think I did a little bit of acting in high school, and I really liked it. And I went to school originally as a theater major on a theater scholarship, and then switched to full academic. It just wasn't, at the time, I didn't think it was viable for me to be in theater. So I loved acting, but theater wasn't my thing. I know some people will say, oh, man, that's terrible. I just didn't have it in me to skip physics and math. I was too much of a geek, I think, to just be in drama. And so I went back to academic full ride scholarship at Pepperdine and really wanted to focus on things outside of theater and got really interested in economics and finance and algorithms. And so I did some disaster relief, and then I ended up working with some banks. And in the middle of all that, I'd heard a lot that I had a good voice and I should do voiceover. And it wasn't the dream that your parents want for you, but I went ahead and took a class. One of those, 4 weekend workshops where you kind of get to dabble in each of the areas. So for me, it was audiobooks, commercials, animation, and then promo. And I loved it. And I ended up doing a lot of audiobooks for a minute and some commercials. And then I got to audition for an anime. And it was very random. And it was through a casting agency. They wanted someone who kind of looked like the character. I ended up not booking that character.
Did they want you to look like a 10-year-old little Japanese girl?
I think they were kind of just somebody with long brown hair with this mysterious brown eyes.
Oh, gotcha.
At the moment, that was me. And it was still just a hobby in my brain. So, I made a little bit of extra cash, but wasn't ready to leave, stability of work. I still thought of it kind of like, I think some people think of they love tennis and they're avid, but they're not going to give up their job to be amateur tennis players. And at this point, working once or twice a year on a series, although it was amazing and fun, it wasn't realistic in my mind to just go for it. But I loved it. And eventually, there was a little bit of a hiccup for the stable job. And because I was available, I started getting cast in more and more anime, and then in voiceover for ADR, for film and television. And kind of before I realized, between 2007 and 2010, I became a full-time voice actress. And awesome. I didn't notice. I kept taking extra jobs because in my brain, I've lost my banking job. That's really stable. So I was, I was parking cars for Valet of the Dolls in Los Angeles because I'm really good at paddle shifting and stick shifting. And I worked for Malibu Maid Service and catering. And come 2010, Fate Stay Night that I'd been cast in, they asked if I wanted to go to Comic-Con. And I thought it was because I'm in a show with Vic Mignogna. So they just want a girl, I guess, to balance it out. But not thinking that, that it was going to be such a big deal. And then I did Vampire Night. I'm sorry, I skipped over. So I did Fate Stay Night and then Vampire Night for Yuki Cross. And then Yuki was on the bags at Comic-Con. And it suddenly hit me that anime wasn't a small niche. It had kind of gone mainstream.
Yeah.
And it was overwhelming because one of my first conventions ever was Comic-Con in San Diego. So I felt like the fans would come up and they'd be so nervous, like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. And I think, yeah, me too. My heart was just jumping out of my chest. And I still thought, probably up until a couple of years ago, that I was just super lucky, and I hope I get to do this, but not planning on it. But 10 years in, I think I can kind of...
Yeah, you think
I'm going to fight
for
my spot. I want to do this for the rest of my life. I can't think of anything with more creativity, and it's great because my nerd side that seems so far away from acting, it's like I'm in heaven here. Like, we get to explore worlds. For film and television, I do ADR, and for listeners that don't know what that is, it's post-production voice. So sometimes it's background voices, but other times it's voice matching or voice replacement for stars that can't make it to the soundstage. And so you get to work on these really great shows, technical shows. I work on Gotham and a new show called Wisdom of the Crowd. Yes. And so I did some voice matching for some pretty famous characters, but one of them, his voice changed. So now he does his own stuff. Uh-huh. I do a lot of voices, but 17-year-old young Bruce Wayne is not going to be one of them.
Oh, so you were doing Bruce's part. Oh, wow.
Some of those voice replacements, before a guy's voice is changed, it's a little bit more like ours. And so grown gentlemen can do a lot of things, but they can't unchange their voice from a man's voice usually. So just interesting stuff. And getting to work like Wisdom of the Crowd with Jeremy Piven right now for CBS, we research data mining and structures and algorithms and what you would need to do to pull out information from open source code for apps and just talk about it. And it's just amazing because, the geek in you is thinking, I get paid to just learn stuff. Yeah. It's awesome.
So Vampire Night, was that your first, so that was like your first real taste of, oh my gosh, this is a thing, and I am this now?
Well, I'd had a couple of leading roles in things I'm very proud of, Fate Stay Night, Rose and Maiden, starting the Blaze Blue franchise. But Vampire Night was the first time where I went to Comic-Con San Diego, Melbourne, Sydney, Auckland, and London. So in 1 year, it was the first time I realized how global anime had gone. It was breathtaking, mind-boggling. I don't know how to explain it. I keep thinking that moment to me was like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, where you think all the tickets have been given away, and you're just, oh, hey, I'm happy to have a candy bar, and then you get a golden ticket. And all the other kids are like, hey, whatever, Chocolate River. And I'm like, it's a chocolate river. Oh, my gosh, it's the best place in the world. They fly you everywhere around the world, and you get to meet fans that are probably just as geeky as I am, and you get to meet new friends, and just I'm sorry to gush about it, but I literally won the lottery.
Like doing a lot of these interviews, it takes a lot for me not to fanboy out. So I'm right there with you, because we've talked with some really cool people, and I'm like, oh man, I just want to talk about Rin the whole entire time. So. Now, we'll just kind of expand on, Fate. Is that one of your favorite? Well, let's just go ahead. I was saving this for, a little bit later, but what's one of your favorite, characters to voice?
Well, I loved that Yuki Cross got to go from being a young woman into who she really was. I loved the themes that Vampire Night addressed with clashing cultures and finding the good in both sides and condemnation and how ineffectual it was in evaluating people or beings. And so I appreciate that. It took me all over the world, but my first kind of big lead was Fate Stay Night, and the director at the time was Christy Reed, and she really walked me through it. And voiceover in anime is very much a director's medium. You don't see the big picture. I do remember getting cast in the original Fate Stay Night and just Googling and looking up on the internet. And at the time, I didn't quite understand the difference between official images and fan images. So up came the most popular images. It was like me in bed with Saber and naked, and I was like, what did I just sign up?
Yeah, you got a safe search on that one.
I was like, oh my gosh. And I asked Christy, she's like, no, that's fan art. Oh, that's good fan art. But it was just, we had to like dial it back, and I was excited. And to be able to begin really my, my professional voiceover career kind of there, and be able to revisit it in Fate Zero, and then to see it on an enormous screen at Anime Expo, and the care that the artists have taken and the dimension. So it wasn't just that the scripts have grown, but to watch this 10-year arc, basically, from the beginning, the first time I played it, to not just visually and acting and culturally, to watch the phenomena of anime and its reception and its importance in Western culture now. Mm-hmm. I felt super honored, and we have Heaven's Feel, which by the time this airs, I'm not sure if it will already have premiered in the States, but not in English yet.
Yeah, no,
so,
unfortunately. It's one of those, after Unlimited Blade Works come out, I was just like itching for a new one. I'm like, come on, I need more of these characters.
Right? Oh, well, Heaven's Feel is so edgy and just striking, and I'm excited that Aniplex is really giving its all and supporting the actors and the directors and the medium. It's stunning.
And I was going to ask, so you came back for Fate Zero from Night and then to Zero and then into the Unlimited Blade Works and everything. So how was that going from how you would normally voice Rin, like how you previously did on Fate Stay Night, to having to transition into Zero?
Well, I had been cast doing younger voices, so I think they didn't want her to be a baby. She was very mature for her age, and mm-hmm. so I was really honored to be brought into that part of the franchise and explore the youth of her and the precociousness, and I love that you can explore your heroes' flaws before they've been sort of forged through the iron, and some of them not. I mean, she's a little bit familiar to me. I think all of the heroes we get cast in, there's a bit of truth in it. So I loved seeing the history of Rin, and vocally speaking, it was another stretch for me, and I appreciated that opening doors for me in the future to play younger characters.
Excellent. Now, we did have one of my previous hosts. They did send me a text message because they have a question for you.
Great.
She wanted to know. Hold on, I apologize. Let me pull it up here. She wanted to know how destroyed is your voice after working on Miraculous Ladybug as Tikki?
Not at all, actually.
Really?
No, it doesn't hurt at all. And ironically, for some reason, every time my sessions come up, because I don't have back-to-back sessions, really, it's maybe a couple of hours at the most. But it's usually, since it's only a couple of hours and they're working around other schedules like Christina's, where she has to be there for a week at a time, mm-hmm. they'll either put me at the end of the day or first thing in the morning. So it'll be 9 o'clock in the morning, and I don't know why, but it's always the day after a Magnolia Memoir concert or sometime where I've had 3 days in a row on a film and I'm exhausted. So I come in, it's like, oh, Marinette, and she's just the nicest girl in the whole wide world. I love her. And so it's this voice, which doesn't hurt, but at 9 a.m., every now and then it sounds like Tikki's been smoking. And we have to go, okay, let me do that one again. Because you're just a little rattly in the morning or at the end of the day. But Ezra as a director is really great. And that particular voice is very natural for me. As a singer, I'm a lyric soprano. So that's definitely in my range. And so I appreciate playing the higher voice characters because it's a whole part my vocal range that doesn't get to be used otherwise.
Okay, now let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Magnolia, because I know I had watched one of your Anime Unlocked streams. Mm-hmm. I think it was earlier this month when you took us into the recording studio and we were listening to your performance.
Oh yeah,
that was amazing. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you're doing there?
Sorry,
maybe not that specific situation, but maybe a little bit more about Magnolia.
Well, Magnolia Memoir, 3 years ago, we had a video called Odds and Ends, and Will Forte wanted to be in it, the late Doris Roberts. We had Josh Myers, Seth Meyers' brother, and they're big supporters, both of them, of Magnolia, and just several actors and actresses that wanted to support us. So we had this amazing video. We were about to release the single and possibly be on some really great late night shows. And
Sweet.
it was a very exciting time. And then someone was texting and they ran a red light and broke my back. And it kind of meant that that wasn't the right time for us. So, we continued to service the album and do placements for film and television. Placements meaning, other productions would use the songs, especially in Europe. But we didn't really get to realize that dream that was happening. I continued working voiceover. By the way, the voiceover community during that time was such a family. I mean, more than even my own family. I woke up in the hospital and people from Bang Zoom were in the hospital with me. And the next day, Yuri and Lowenthal and Tara Platt were there. And just Jason Charles Miller had come. And there was this stream of support that is so integral in my healing.
It sounded like a good family community.
Oh, it's wonderful. When you see us laughing and we get to go to conventions together, we're so excited to see each other because a lot of times we're in shows together, but we don't see each other very often. So it was probably the most I saw some of them was in the hospital. But we got to really talk about things that matter. And that was when I knew that voiceover was it for me. Not just that I enjoyed it, but the type of people it attracts and the support it created in my life. How would I get that somewhere else? And so as I was healing, Alexander Burke and I, who are the key members, founding members for Magnolia, we weren't really sure if it was going to be time for it to become just a composing entity where we continue to compose music for gaming and films and television. But Christina Aguilera's guitar player and someone who had played with Prince, who has since passed on, unfortunately, came up to us and said, "I'm such a fan of your music. Would you be willing to write with me?" Oh. Now, we didn't know if we were going to do an album, but who's going to say no?
Exactly, yeah.
To that. And I mean, he's always said he was a fan when we'd see him at NAMM, which is this music conference, and we're friends through mutual people. So we thought he was a fan, but a supportive fan. We didn't understand that he was like, "I love this band." And so we went and wrote, but thinking maybe it'll be for placement, maybe sell it to an artist. But every time we got together, we wrote another song, and it was really good. And I understood in that artistic medium that I was a different singer. I was a different person. After flatlining in an accident, I stopped wondering, what it would have been like had I not had the accident. I realized that this life I have right now is different and new. And as an artist, I have other things to say. There's an edge to me that I didn't really have before. And the universe opened up an extraordinary opportunity for us to record at this multi-million-dollar facility in Santa Clarita. And then you guys got to see on Unlocked us streaming, mastering the album. And I'm glad you like it. Those are literally sneak peeks. It's not on SoundCloud,
yeah,
Spotify,
it was
nothing.
really, really good.
And it's beautiful and it's nice to know. I think anyone listening right now has been to a place, I call it the death of dreams, where you think that everything's crushed and you just have to, have your second best life. But I'm constantly living proof that sometimes the math just has to be readjusted, but it can still equal awesome.
That's really good. I wasn't expecting that's a really good. That's a really good answer.
Well, thank you.
Sorry.
No, I for those of you that are listening, please support us at Magnolia Memoir. Is on Twitter, Instagram, and Magnolia Memoir on Facebook. And you're welcome to direct message. Say you heard us on Anime Station, and we will definitely get out some free links so you can get a private sneak peek.
Oh, awesome!
To the album, we'll have a VIP sneak peek page. So if you guys want to direct message, where do they reach you?
Yeah, they can reach us.
I can send it to you.
Yeah, and we'll put links to everything in the bio for this episode.
Great. We'll make sure it's something special for you guys.
Oh, excellent. Thanks. Now, I just wanted to talk a little bit about your other show that you do.
Okay.
your little Lindbeck and Lee. That is probably one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time. Especially like your stuff with Caitlin and Bryce.
Oh, she's great.
My goodness. It was one of those, like, I downloaded it on, I've got YouTube Red, so I downloaded it for work. So it was like, I'll just be at work and this will be on in the background and it'll be fine. And it's just going and going, and I had to stop working. I was like, I can't. I'm laughing too hard with Caitlin's stuff, so I can't do my job. So I'm just gonna watch this.
I'm so glad. I mean, that's the goal of it, was just to share happiness and get people to laugh. Because what was happening with Eric and I, there's sort of a weird, uncensored part of us. Like we can both be glamorous, but at our core, we're not. We're beautiful disasters. And so my fiance, who I'm about to get married to, he was like, you guys have to just do a show, because we would actually come over and he would be in the room, but we'd kind of forget and just start having these random conversations. And he's like, 15 minutes would go by and he'd say, I'm still here. And then we'd be like, oh yeah, I'm sorry. Because we would just get on these tangents and be laughing. And he's like, you guys just need to put a camera in front of you and just be you. And both Eric and I, one of our big things is to follow the fear. Like, things you're afraid of, just conquer it, you know? And both of us were like, I'm so afraid to be on camera. Like, as a voice actor in a booth, kind of, there's this power that you have because you feel like you can be anything. You can be a warrior princess, a magical fairy, you know, a badass, you know, soldier. But how do we translate that into our real lives? Because we are those things. And as women sometimes, and I hate, I don't say I hate, but I hate that sometimes women's issues get such a highlight, but men's self-image issues don't. I think we all have ideas of what a warrior should be, what a hero would look like. And I love gaming and anime because it redefines it. And it reminds you that the little guy, the big guy, you know, the nerd, the geek, the smart guy, the super cute guy can actually all be heroes. Mm-hmm. And so we thought, well, let's do a season in a day. Vic Mignogno is going to be like, it was only going to be a couple episodes, but ended up being like, I think 5 or 6
I think so, yeah. It was a good stretch where it was Vic, and I'm like, okay, yeah.
And so he just came, and it's one shot. And we were trying to do bumpers, but we were like, is the camera on? Like, we didn't know how it worked. We had all these film people that I'd met through the Odds and Ends video, and they're all like big film people, and they had such a good time on Odds and Ends. They're like, we'd love to support you, whatever this Lindbeck and Lee thing is. So these are like big name folks, and they just were laughing because we didn't know what we were doing, but we didn't care. There wasn't pressure. It's not like we were on a set of a big film or something. Mm-hmm. So we just were having a good time. And it turns out that everybody else was having a good time too. And then we thought, let's definitely do this again. And so whenever we have time, we film, you know, extra episodes. And we're learning. It's funny that we were so afraid of being on camera, and now we don't even think about it. It's like being in your living room and having a bunch of friends hang out with you. So we're going on to by the way, our next big fair. We're like, oh, as much as I like to sing in the group, like Eric and I want to sing together. We sang on Skip Beat for several of the theme songs. Mm-hmm. So our next big thing that we're going to be doing the next few months is the Great Cover Up. We're going to sing, and put music together and sing together. So that's our next big challenge. And Lindbeck and Lee to the rescue. We're going to go to wolf rescue and kitten rescues and elephant rescues and kind of just take you guys with us. So we're going to get off the couch and go see the world together.
That sounds awesome.
We're excited.
Oh man, yeah, we're trying to get into the video area. It took so long to get into the podcast, trying to, you know, coax people in. It's like, it's not bad. They don't even have to see you. We're just gonna talk in the mics like we're having our conversation, and we'll go from there. And then, you know, now I'm trying to be like, okay, let's do the same thing. Let's just do it in front of the camera.
Right. It's a weird transition, but you, by the way, your voice is like it was made for podcast and broadcast.
Thank you.
And just who you are as a person, you're so natural with conversation. And again, I love that YouTube and the internet has given us such an open space and an open canvas to see different body types, cultures, glasses, not glasses, like all of these things that were kind of homogenous, I think, on television, where that was the world of television, and then there's the rest of us. But YouTube has obliterated that.
Yeah.
The visual medium is now for any human being that wants to connect to any other human being, and it's not about being the skinniest or the tallest or the smartest, it's just about being you. And it's exciting because that means there's that much more points of view that we can share and that we can communicate, because I think for a minute internet maybe kind of took us away from connection, but I think internet as a medium, and going into games, films, projects, anime, discussion podcasts, it's now bringing us closer together. Like I feel like we have fans from Lindbeck and Lee, like from Russia, people that are reaching out, like Russia, but how great, because when else would we get to communicate on the level of being human beings and just smiling and laughing? And that's kind of important right now.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I just like with the podcast, just going on, and because I can look and see where our downloads are coming from. And looking on and just like seeing a country, like you'll be scrolling down and you'll be like, oh, that's Estonia. What? That's super cool. Like, and we have a really dedicated listener in Kanagawa, Japan, and I'm like, wow. I mean, talk with us more. I mean, I would love to have you on just to talk with you, but like how you found this dinky little podcast.
It's kind of like the new pen pal. I don't know if you had like pen pals. I don't, even when it was just emails, but it was your connection to the rest of the world. And I'm old enough that there was a time where it wasn't always internet and email, and you could just reach out. And I feel like now, gosh, to be 8 or 9 or 10, and you can be on a thread on just about any Reddit or YouTube or anything, and be talking to people from all over the world.
It's crazy.
It's crazy awesome.
It definitely, for sure. Okay, now we're gonna change a little bit real quick.
Okay.
So you get your role of a lifetime. What is going to be your dream role?
There's two. I think my role of a lifetime would be in a Disney Marvel franchise.
Okay.
For animation, for gaming. Both Eric and I are waiting for our AAA game. I'm excited, and I have an unusual situation in anime and in film and television where I've been allowed to, see a character through for a 10-year arc. That's pretty unusual.
Yeah.
And right now, the number one place to do that would be in games. And as an actor, and I finally have admitted that I'm an actress. I'm like, the geek in me is like, no, I like math, but I'm like, I have a degree in theater. It's like everyone has, a skeleton in the closet, and mine is that I'm actually creative and I love acting. I'm finally coming out of the closet. But I would love to have a franchise game, a AAA game, I think. But I think the role of a lifetime right now, there's a lot of things I can't quite talk about right now, but
Gotcha.
My life story is pretty extraordinary. And this past year, like some Harry Potter stuff happened that was just, there was a tear in the universe and something impossible happened, and beautiful and strange and extraordinary. And I'm in the middle of writing a book, and then it's about to be optioned for a film. And so I think the role of a lifetime for me is going to be playing me.
Awesome.
And getting to share this beautiful thing that's been happening in my life. I mean, obviously some of it's voiceover, but I'm really touched in a closer environment. The people that know what's happening in my life, everyone has a similar story, and so I'm understanding, and I hope our listeners know this, is sometimes when you go through a tragedy or something that's, quantumly changes who you are, it changes the world around you, and there are ripples that go across the universe. and be prepared for it to come back to you. It's kind of like when the tide goes out, it always comes back in. So when you're going through a really difficult time and trying to be a person of character in all of that, trying to hold on to hope, it's not just so that you can get to some other disaster. That thing that forges the iron in you, it makes you a warrior. It makes you a king, a queen. You have the ability to be a beacon of hope to so many people that this horrible thing that you might be going through is actually your gift that will allow you to make a difference in this life.
Awesome. Now, do you have any upcoming projects that you wanna promote? Anything that you're allowed to talk about?
That's the worst.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's two things that I'm super excited about, but I can't talk about them, and they could have something to do with roles of a lifetime in said franchises. But of course, season 2 from Miraculous is coming out. We haven't heard anything official for Heaven's Feel, but if anyone's listening, of course I want to be Rin forever. That is my role of a lifetime. Like, I think, even though it kind of switches over to Sakura, Christina V and I are like crossing our fingers, and we're just so excited. There's a lot happening. Game-wise, I've been doing some great games. Some of them I'm like, ooh, when is this coming out? Are we allowed to talk about it? But TV shows, yes, those are great. It's talked about Wisdom of the Crowd. Damnation is a new series that's out right now. Gotham, of course, which has been a real blessing. And boy, it gets dark. It's like when you're a kid and you're reading a comic book, because it's not something that's existed before, all of these backstories.
Yeah.
It's, who knew we could grow up and make money being kids? It's awesome. I just finished Law and Order, the Menendez murders, which is kind of dark and strange and amazing because it happened here in Los Angeles. So the geek in me that loves legal process and criminal justice and just how much social mores of the time will affect our points of view for crimes of the century, per se. I am fascinated with cultural changes that occurred in Los Angeles in the 90s and how we are still feeling those reverberations and waves, because I live in Los Angeles now, and it's interesting to see what has changed, what hasn't, and people are telling the stories, like, straight out of Compton and these things that happened in the 90s in Los Angeles, whether it was earthquakes or murder trials, riots. It's been interesting to see what has and hasn't changed, and the landscape of a city that seems really open but is just now getting into a much more open cultural discourse. That was probably a heavy answer, but those are the projects I'm so excited about because I have to research and I have to learn more. We have, I'm kind of like looking at stuff that isn't already out that I can talk about, and I can't talk about anything with Disney Marvel or anything like that.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we've had problems with, because like I know of kind of some stuff that's coming out that I've read on like forums.
You should
and stuff
talk about
like
it
that.
then. If you've read it on a forum, then I'm not
then it's
what
totally
might be coming out.
fine.
What are you excited about? Yeah, what are you excited about? Do tell.
Oh man,
that I might
so
be
many
in.
things. Well, I heard you're going to be in the. They're doing a new Star Wars spinoff, and you're the main character. So congratulations on that. And I've said it now.
You've heard that?
I've said it now on the podcast.
Okay.
So
That's
Disney
news.
has to make it true. So
Yes,
congrats
thank you.
there. Oh man, but really, I saved
an awesome. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. I saved one of the most important questions for last, and this is a question that one of our, like, my main co-host Gavin, his wife has for all of our guests. What is your stance on shortbread cookies? Like, love them, hate them? Where do you fall?
Repeat the question.
Where do you fall on shortbread cookies? Like, do you like shortbread cookies? Hate shortbread cookies?
Yeah, I wanted you to repeat it because, hating shortbread cookies, I'm like, is that a thing? Well, my last name is McLean. So the Scottish person in me would say shortbread walkers. Good shortbread, thick, sweet shortbread, a glass of milk. I mean, that's kind of heaven. That's my opinion. I mean, for those of you that don't appreciate shortbread cookies, I happen to make an amazing chocolate chip cookie and white chocolate chip and dark chocolate cranberry. I will be sharing my recipe on melalee.com for the holidays.
Oh, perfect.
And but shortbread, is that really, are there people that don't like like you've just, my brain just exploded.
Yeah,
there are people that don't like shortbread.
Yeah, she's not a fan of like the ones where it's, super crumbly and everything like that. Not a fan
yeah,
of those.
you know what though? Go to a good British Isles shop or go, now that you have Amazon, you can get them straight there. A good shortbread is literally like a biscuit, like it's a shortbread biscuit, like cookie, and it's real thick and moist, and not all crumbly, wrapped in plastic. And it'd be like judging homemade cookies by Chips Ahoy.
Exactly. I think that's what she may have had. Maybe one of those Sandy's Chips Ahoy ones, like the pecan sandy ones. It's like, that's not the same.
Well, challenge accepted. Where does she live?
She lives here in Oklahoma.
Where I was born. Oh, I see.
You were born in Oklahoma?
Tulsa.
Really? That's awesome.
It is awesome. But you know what it means during the holidays? I'm going to have to actually make some shortbread and next day air it to her and see if she likes homemade shortbread.
That would be amazing.
So you'll have to email me her contact information. We'll chat, and I will get her some actual shortbread, and then we'll see what she thinks.
Awesome. So now we're into the Oklahoma-ness, so get ready for another 6-hour podcast. So you grew up in Tulsa?
I did not.
Oh, so
I was born there and left probably months later. But I am Choctaw, and ironically, I'm from Mississippi Band of Choctaw Indian, but there's a whole Choctaw and Cherokee population right there in Oklahoma. So no matter where I was going to be born, I was going to be surrounded by family and friends of my culture. So
that's awesome.
It holds a dear place in my heart. And my grandmother lived in Tulsa for some time, probably until I was 12 or 13. So there's definitely a connection with Oklahoma.
That's great. So now you're on that wonderful pedestal. So it's going to go Mela Lee, born in Oklahoma, Brad Pitt, born in Oklahoma. So you two are right there, neck and neck. So
well, good luck to Brad.
Exactly.
That he can get to the number 2 spot.
Hopefully he could do something. We've got high hopes for him.
Well, let's all say a collective prayer to whomever you wish for Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Moment of silence.
And moment done, because he's richer than kiddo. I am. So, all right, now Mela, where can everybody find you at?
Well, right now I'm at home. I'm just kidding. I mean, I am at home, but please don't come here.
That's perfect.
Goodbye. No, please come find me on Instagram. Twitter is the THE Mela Lee, like the one and only Mela Lee at. And you can email me, themelalee@gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook. I do have a private profile, but what's private on Facebook? A lot of times people are like, I only have friends and family on this page. I do have a fan page that needs lots of help. Please like Mela Lee on the fan page, but you're welcome to friend request me on the regular old page. I feel like you guys are all my family, and let's be honest, Facebook isn't private.
Oh, no.
So a lot of people are like, yeah, I don't accept anybody except my close friends. Well, you know what? My close friends are my close friends. They're at my house. I feel like, the next separation would be Facebook, and you are totally welcome at my Facebook house anytime. And please, Magnolia Memoir is also easy to find on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram, and online at the website is Magnolia Memoir, MEMOIR.com. We have an album coming out this spring. Some just beautiful visuals are coming. Directors are approaching us. And like we discussed, I will make sure that there's at least a sneak peek of one of our upcoming singles for the Animation Station crowd.
Oh, sweet. Thank you so much. All right, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Josh L. Kane, and you can find the podcast on Twitter at Animate Podcast, on Instagram at Animation Station Podcast, on Facebook at Animation Station Podcast. You can also tumble us at Animation Station Podcast. Yeah, we have that for some reason. Just because it's, gotta, stay on everything pretty much.
I'm not mad. I'm following you on some of these right now.
Perfect. Thank you. And you can also go to our website, animationstationpodcast.com. You can find all of our episodes on iTunes, Stitcher, and if you go to our website, you can click on the little podcast tab, and all of our episodes will be there. And we're also going to put all of Mela's info in the description of this podcast.
Awesome.
So, Mela, again, thanks so much for coming on and talking with us. It's been awesome.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast as much as Josh and I did. It's almost like you got to listen to probably the best phone call ever. And true to geekdom, it's a Friday night. I don't know when this is actually going to air, but this is what we do in our spare time.
Exactly. And I'm going to go ahead and use my regular sign-off. So for the Animation Station, I'm Josh. I'm Mela.
Okay, do it again. Do it again.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and use my normal sign-off. So, for the Animation Station, I'm Josh.
I'm Mela.
Bye-bye, little butterfly.
Oh.
Thank you for listening to the Animation Station Podcast. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Animation Station Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Animate Podcast. Subscribe to us on iTunes. And join the conversation at SecretSuperheroClub.com, where you can connect with our podcast friends, Cloud City Cast, Getting Into Comics, and Shaun of the Gathering.